Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is part 5 of For Money. Enjoy. The conversation had to end there since you are now heading out of the mouth of the cave and over towards your colleagues, and you didn't want them to overhear what was being talked about, so you just smiled as you looked up, still carrying a dead body over your shoulder as you and Mei Mei approached the small group. Wee Wee looked like he had just seen an angel arrive and smiled with a blush on his cheeks as his older sister approached him. "You look so beautiful, my queen," he said shyly as she stopped before him, looking up at her with loving adoration in his eyes. "Thank you, Wee Wee," she said, almost dismissively as she waited with your group. "Okay," you said. "We should move away a little. I need to radio the others and see how they're going." You added, "I hope they're okay." You wondered internally. "I haven't heard anything, but that's not always a good thing." When we parted, they said that they would go and look around outside the cave," one of your colleagues said. "Oh, okay," you replied, shrugging and adjusting the body over your shoulder. "All right, let's move these bodies away a bit, and I'll get in contact with them." Everyone agreed and made plans to move, except that one colleague who had felt weak before and couldn't carry their dead body. They still hadn't gathered their strength, so you dropped into a deep squat and got the other able-bodied colleague to assist in placing the other dead body over your other shoulder, making it somewhat cumbersome and heavy for you to carry, but you dug deep and stood up, and then took one step at a time. It's not like you hadn't done anything like this before, and you were happy that you could at least showcase your skill set again to Mei Mei. You weren't sure if you were quietly competitive with her, or whether you were hoping to show off to her, but either way, muscling 2 dead bodies that probably weighed over 90 kilo each was more than enough to make you feel good. Mei Mei watched your arm muscles bulge as you carried these bodies, one over each shoulder, and easily carried them further away from the mouth of the cave and over to a small clearing that looked comfortable. "Okay," you said, as you slowly lowered the bodies down to the ground and then helped your other colleague lower theirs down. "Stay here," you said, looking at your colleagues and Wee Wee. "Mei Mei and I will go look for the others." "Oh, but sister," Wee Wee pouted. "Stay here," Mei Mei said sharply to him, and he cowered and then bowed his head to her. "If you wish it, then it is my pleasure," he said, giving you a bit of a stink eye as he raised his head. "Bro's mad," you thought with a hidden smirk as you turned to leave with her. "Something doesn't add up here," the weaker male colleague commented as you and Mei Mei left the group and disappeared into the bush. "How so?" the other asked. "She's supposed to be a forensics expert, right?" the weaker asked as he sat down and lay back against the tree for support. "Yeah," the other replied. "Wouldn't she be here looking after the bodies and searching them for clues?" the first asked. The second thought for a bit and then shrugged. "Yeah, I guess so, but also she might be checking the surroundings for evidence too," the other offered. "Yeah, okay. I guess that's possible too," the first said as they closed their eyes and rested. "The other thing though..." "Yeah?" the second asked. "You saw it, right?" the first asked, opening their eyes and looking at their colleague. "Saw what?" the second asked. "She was carrying a weapon. And there was a thing. You saw it, didn't you? Just before she and Wayan arrived? And she came running over and had this giant axe thing? Or was it a scythe?" The second gave the first a quizzical look. "What?" the second asked. The first stared at them and then sighed and rested their head back against the tree trunk again. "Maybe I was hallucinating," they said, then fell silent. "I'm so sure I wasn't, though," they thought to themselves. "I saw this thing around both our faces. I thought I was going to die. I was so close to dying. I was honestly on my last breath of air. And then she cut this thing off me. She had an amazing presence about it. I felt it. And then as soon as she got the thing off me and I could breathe again, everything went back to normal. She was just standing there. No weapon, no presence. And the thing had gone too. Maybe I am just tired," they thought. While you and Mei Mei walked around the cave, you radioed to see where your final 2 colleagues were, one male colleague and one female colleague. You also decided to check where they were on their GPS tags and saw they were around and further up the mountain. "Team B, do you copy? Over?" you asked your crew of 2. "Copy, over. We haven't found anything, but we're scouring the area where the river disappears underground. Over," the male colleague replied to you on the radio. "Okay, over. I've got you on the GPS. Over. We'll be there shortly. Over." you said into the radio as you looked at Mei Mei. She had heard the whole conversation and nodded. Chances are the bodies have been washed into the river and pushed underground, she said to you. Possible, you replied as you walked. Hopefully no more curses. I've already had too many today, you added. And I haven't even been the one fighting them. This has been a very easy mission so far, Mei Mei said nonchalantly. There have been many times where I've had to fight hundreds of curses at a time. I'm sorry, what? You asked in a surprised voice. Okay, you really are superhuman. Your physique is perfect for sorcerer work, Mei Mei then added casually. You felt a blush rising inside you and you swelled with pride. Well, this job isn't easy either. I've got to be at my peak, you said, trying to remain humble. You're doing well, she replied, and suddenly you understood why Huihui melted so quickly when praised by her. It indeed felt very good, so good that you almost lost your cool for a second. We're coming up to the spot, you said with a grunt to clear your throat, trying to keep your mind on track. Mei Mei didn't say anything, but just kept her wits about her as you moved through some denser bushland before suddenly breaking through and coming out alongside a fast-flowing river. Okay, here we are, you said as you looked around to locate your colleagues. They were on the other side of the river, a little way down, and you raised a hand to them when they looked up so that they could see you. Both of them raised their hands in return, and you smiled and then turned to Mei Mei. We'll head down and scout this side of the river for anyone, you said to her, which she nodded at. The rush of the river was quite loud, so you couldn't really speak to each other, let alone hear the others on the other side, but since you had worked with these two for many years, you knew how to sign to each other in code, using it from your training so that you could communicate even without words. Body, you signed to your colleagues across the river once you'd gotten level with them on your side. No, they signed back. We'll search this side, you signed to them. Okay, they signed back. You turned to Mei Mei and called to her over the rush of the water so she'd know what's going on. They haven't found anything on that side, so we'll look this side, you said. If we can't find anything, we'll call it a day and set up camp. Mei Mei nodded. Spreading out a little, you and her walked slowly along the bank of the river, looking for signs of anywhere that someone could have slipped in, as well as looking for foreign footprints or leftover equipment that may have accidentally been dropped, but you couldn't find anything. Just when you were about to give up and signal to the others on the other side of the river that you were calling it off, you got a signal from them. Your male colleague was waving his arms to attract your attention, so you raised your arm to let him know that you'd seen him and was awaiting his signals. He pointed to his eyes and then to the rocks a little further down, and you looked where he had pointed you to. From where you were standing, you couldn't see anything, but he seemed to be quite adamant that he had seen something in the rocks, and so you gave him the go-ahead to retrieve it. While you stood watching, Mei Mei came up beside you, so you told her what you thought was going on the other side. He's seen something in the rocks just there, you said to her. I can't see anything, but he looks like he's prepping her to go and get it. Your male colleague was getting the harness and ropes ready on your female colleague and had attached everything good and tight, and then they both looked across to you to indicate that they were ready to commence the retrieval of whatever it was that was stuck in the rocks. You gave them the go-ahead, but you were a little wary. The river was still moving at a quick pace, and it was quite turbulent around the rock area where she was headed. Those rocks look very mossy and slippery too, you thought, as you watched her gently climb over the first few. You moved down the river a little closer to where they were on the other side and watched keenly, bracing yourself in case you needed to act. Mei Mei watched your stance. She could tell that you were prepping to jump in if your female colleague got swept into the river, so she stayed close in case she needed to lend her assistance too. The next few seconds were almost in slow motion as you preempted your female colleague's fall, and time screeched to a halt as her left foot slipped on the rocks and she fell into the rapids, the weight and speed of the water ripping the rope that was holding her from your male colleague's hands. She had just gone under when you had jumped in, and as she came up for air, you had already grabbed her and helped hold her head up. It was then that Mei Mei acted as well, running alongside the riverside and stretching her axe out to you as you and your female colleague continued to rush down the river. You saw her axe and grabbed onto it, allowing her to pull you both to safety on her side of the river. Mate, this mission is indeed dangerous. Stay tuned for next week, part 6 coming then. I'll see you then.